they used to gather together, unaleta shilingi 10, mwingine analeta hii, and they would buy plots. The biggest challenge is not lack of capital.
Yeah.
In fact, capital is way down. The biggest challenge is having a bankable idea. Sitting back and saying it's lack of capital is cheating yourself.
When we have the conversations on investment, and now we are really going into our parents, many people think you need a lot of money to start doing your investments. So I want you to tell them what our parents did, even with the limited means they had, in the village.
Yeah, I think the first chama ever.
It's actually in my book, The Village Girl.
Yes,
Yeah, that story is there, how they came together. Yeah.
Yeah, the musees, and I think they were not necessarily people with means. It's exactly the story I talked about, Gugu and others.
Interdependence.
That interdependence, the knowledge that you yourself cannot afford that plot in that shopping center. And so they used to gather together, unaleta shilingi 10, mwingine analeta hii, and they would buy plots. And I remember even when I grew up, I remember one day when I was already working, my father taking me around and telling me he brought to corner so and so, he brought to corner so and so, he brought to corner so and so. In fact, my biggest challenge now, I guess is the same as is to really take some of those ideas forward, because those guys were visionaries. Even though they never bought us shoes, the little they had, they invested wisely. So today I look back and say I can actually account for my father's wealth. The way he earned, the way he toiled, I can see where it is. Almost better than I can account for mine, because me, you see, kuna makati niwenda Tamambo, kuna wakati niwenda Kanibo huko. I can't account properly. But I think for my father, I can account for almost everything. Because we see it and you say, "Aye, where did you get this?" Because you are not even buying us shoes. And even you are not buying shoes. Even him, for a long time, he used to have those, those tires. You cut and you create a shoe.
The sandals.
It's called, we used to call it nyamogas. So now saying this, and then one day he tells me, when you had grown old, then he told me, hey, here we are 10 of us, here we are 12. So these fellows had exactly the same idea as the Google guys and the Apple people. And in the very sense, they actually managed to achieve that. In fact, now they have long passed, and we struggle to take forward those two projects. Even us finishing one, we celebrate. But then they used to have, and that is why now they would come together. Since it is in the book, I have to say this, since it is in the book, even her mother, my father, and others, they would sit together when they had now declared a dividend for those two little things. And they would say, my father would say, hey, boys who, niko na watatu, standard 7. So please you don't take, you let me take. And now next time, where do you utachukua? They would go like this, just checking who is more needed at this time. Wacha achukue huyu, na huyu atachukua next time. That is how they operated. And now that's how they educated the kids. So that thing of interdependence is a value that is as necessary today as it was then.
They showed us how to think big, dream big, but start small with the resources that you have. And I think that's what we are saying. We must all do that today. Instead of complaining we don't have. We have little means.
Actually, there is nothing like you don't have. And I may sound a little maybe outrageous, depending on who is listening. But and maybe I'm digressing a little. But there's nothing like, particularly when you talk about entrepreneurship and thinking about business. There's nothing like because if I've done this, I'm going to speak even in my old BCom environment to students, and one of the biggest things that they say, Linus, you're talking about this because you got a good job, lack of capital. Where do I get capital? And actually I tell them, the biggest challenge is not lack of capital. In fact, capital is way down. The biggest challenge is having a bankable idea. 10 years ago or more, I think more because it was during Kibaki's time, that is when they started something about the youth. Okay? See, if you have a good idea, there was a youth something ministry. And I remember going to the PS because I had been asked to go and speak in Lower Kabete BCom, and I got statistics because people are applying, even university students. And the concern for government at that time is that almost all the applications is either asking for money to buy a matatu, is asking for money to buy a portion meal. And when you think about, you've already gone to university and you want to do what your father was doing. You want to do the portion meal because that is what you saw in the neighboring village. And then you say lack of capital. So getting that competitive idea that you think, wow, is A, what can even get you angel investors, but B, let's also face it, almost every street of this country, in a town, you have 5 to 10 banks. Like now here, if you go to Ruaka, there are about 10 banks. Every branch manager, and I'm chairman of a bank, every branch manager has targets for loans, for deposit, for this. So the guy is sitting there yawning, how to watatoka happy? You're busy in the capital. What you do not have is a great idea that can actually help to pay the loan and leave you with a profit. And the guys who manage, even in this environment, the guys who manage to do that oftentimes make it and get those loans. Yes, there are issues of security, and that is why sometimes even getting through the youth fund, getting through these different avenues, and there are many different avenues may be the solution. But sitting back and saying it's lack of capital is cheating yourself. The first fundamental question is, do I have such a marketable idea that, guys, let's go to the boardroom, I present you this idea. The people who do that, less than 1%. The people who talk about the problem are 99. So that is my firm conviction. And I know I've worked with people, different people, who said, me, I'm in the 1%, okay, show me. And 99% of the time when they showed me, they got money. Because you're also able to, there are different, there are circles, there is this, there is this, there is this. And you work with somebody, unaona sasa, because the idea is great. That is why we had started that next big thing. Yeah. Sasa tutacheza golf leo? Nikuuliza tu, sina ubaya.
No, not before you tell us about the teacher, your headmaster, your mentor.
You've been Googling.
More than Googling. I have information. You told us to do investigation. Why Kamau jumped out?
Yes. Not the fact that he jumped out.
Not the fact that he jumped out. Tell us about your headmaster.
No, my headmaster.
And how he mentored you.
Yeah, my headmaster was called Gitogawa Guyo.